beautiful. Now it sounds like a service. Page 125, where has the week vanished? It definitely feels like that sometimes. Poof, you had a week and then it's gone. And that definitely felt like this week, 125. Where has this week vanished? Is it lost forever? Will I ever recover anything from it? Please join. The joy of life, the unexpected victory, the realized hope, the task accomplished. Will I ever be able to banish the memory of pain, the sting of defeat, the heaviness of boredom? On this day, let me keep for a while what must drift away. On this day, let me be free of the burdens that must return. On this day, Shabbat abide. Help me to withdraw for a while from the flight of time. Contain the retreat of the hours and days from the grasp of frantic life. Let me learn to pause, if only for this day. Let me find peace on this day. Let me enter into a quiet world this day. On this day, Shabbat abide. Now we're going to turn to our candle lighting. And I'm going to go light the candles over there on page 120. And actually, maybe we'll invite up. We have a newest Jew in our group tonight, Christina Megan. You want to come on over to light our candles? And Benji can join you over there if you'd like. Christina is so enthusiastic about Judaism. It's wonderful to help her through this process, and she said her favorite thing is Shabbat. So there's a little matchbox there. Yeah, just light those two, yeah. Oh, that doesn't matter. Depends whether you're Orthodox. Thank you. We'll turn it over to Cantor to recite the blessing. I just stay there for a second.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Blessed be the candles who light our way through Shabbat. And Christina or Benji, if you want to hold up the cup over there, we're going to turn to our Kiddush, and Cantor is going to recite page 123.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho v'ahava uv'ratzon hinchilanu zikaron l'maseh v'reishit ki hu yom tefillah lemikra'ei kodesh zecher l'tziat mitzrayim kivanu v'chartam yotanu kidashtam mikol havim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava u'v'ratzon hinchaltanu baruch atah Adonai v'kadesh HaShabbat.
Amen. L'chaim. All right, you can put down the cup, and Christina, right there in front of you, we did her beitin, the conversion, over Zoom. So we have her certificate. We're going to have her sign it. and that makes it official. Afterwards, we'll get a copy, and we're going to send that record over to Cincinnati as well, where the Jewish Archives keeps a record of everyone that's converted. So I think we're ready for some Mazel Tov. Should we sing Christina some Simon Tov of Mazel Tov?
Simon Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Simon Tov, Simon Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Simon Tov, Simon Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Simon Tov.
All right, Mazel Tov. You can take the certificate. We'll get Joanne to make a copy before you leave. But you could maybe see it. I think we had you up there long enough. Just to let you know, because Christina and Benji are coming into our community during this time of the pandemic. Their first service here was in our parking lot. And so a lot of you haven't had a chance to meet them. Christina is from Spain originally, and she actually met Benji in Dublin. Benji is from Hamilton, Ontario, right around there, where his family is active members in the Jewish community there, and Benji is a medical doctor, and so we're really happy to have them. You'll get to know them more when we don't have to wear masks, or we could more freely associate with each other. So Mazel Tov, we're happy to host you in our community. We are going to now be continuing by welcoming in Shabbat. Wow, I feel like we're really ready to welcome Shabbat now that we've welcomed someone to the Jewish community. I'm so excited now. Okay, page 138, L'cha Dodi. And we're going to sing the first and the last verse, the 9th verse. On the last verse, we rise and we face the doorway. If you're in virtual space, you can face whatever door. No, not yet, Todd. I'll give you the cue. When I go like this. But we're not shaking hands, so just we go like this. For those of us in the room, we're going to do like the royal wave. That'll work.
You know what, Rabbi? We're a small group, but we're a rowdy one. There's a lot going on tonight, and it's good. We're all in high spirits.
Now we can rise. Ready for our waves. Wonderful, you're getting the hang of it. All right, we're on page 146. We remain standing for the Baruch Hu, our call to prayer.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Amen.
We remain standing with Ahavat Olam. We feel the love in the room. Ahavat Olam, page 150.
אהבת עולם בית ישראל עמך אהבת תורה ומצוות חוקים ומשפטים אותנו לימדת על כן אדוני אלוהינו בשוכבנו וקומנו נשיח בחוקיך ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו ובהם נגן יומו ולילה. ואהבתך התסיר מבית ולעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל.
152, the Shema.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam
You may be seated. The V'ahavta, page 154.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך ושיננת לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך ובביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לעול הידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Page 157 on the bottom. We'll read responsively. So good just to say that. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from the wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth. The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love. From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way. Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed. Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea. And we turn to that prayer of singing on the shores of the sea, page 158, the Mi Chamocha. Blessed of you, God, who redeems your people Israel. I invite you to rise, if you're able, wherever you are, for our tefillah, page 164. We're going to do the beginning out loud through page 170, and then we'll have private prayers.
Adonai, sifatai tiftach, ufi tehillatcha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Raphael, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, Hideyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher Chasdei Avot Ve'imahot, U'mevii Gebula Lifnei V'nehem, Le'man Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magid Abraham Ve'ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, V'chayei Hakol, Atah Rav Le'Hoshia, Mori סומך נופלים ורופא חולים ומתיר אסורים ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפור מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומדום מלך מלך ממיד ומחיה ומצליח ישועה ונאמן אתה לך חיות הכל ברוך אתה אדוני מקיים הכל אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה ברוך אתה אדוני הקדוש.
We'll take a few moments for our own private prayers, and then we'll resume our service. You may be seated whenever you're ready. Yehi l'ratzoni m'refi v'hagyon libi lefanech Adonai tzuri v'goali. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, Adonai, my rock and my redeemer. We turn now to our healing prayers. And of course, our hearts are heavy with many friends and family that are on our mind, and for some of us are participating, those of us participating as well in the service. And our heart goes out to you. This prayer, which can be found on page 370, the Mishaberach, hopefully brings comfort. For those of you not in the room with us today, feel free to, if you're on Facebook, to write names of people, and certainly we will be thinking about those individuals. It's actually 371 in the middle there. For those of you that if you do want someone's name listed, just call up our office during the week and let them know about who you're thinking about. Today as a community, we're praying for Lee Applebaum, Robert Berman, Marietta Bratton, Sonia Breitbart, Kim Brodsky, Michael Berwick, Karen Cooper, Arthur Gizelke, Faggy Fox, Dave Gajewski, Irene Green, Jeff Hamilton, Nancy Hersbrunn, Sue Hill, Howard Hilfstein, Ruth Lansing, Diane Lynch, Kathy Mass, Michael Massimo, Jennifer Milich, Karen Place, Richard Radis, Mary Rumies, Martin and Barbara Scher, Jason Shaw, Diane Simons, Gail Willig-Smith, Michael Citron, Gretchen Solander, Meg Wagner, Cindy Walgate, Carol Wilson, Fred Weiner, Lauren Wolf and family, Elizabeth Gizi Yager, and Hannah Ezra Ben Shul. If you have other names, feel free to say them.
Many of the gentlemen that were trampled in last night's stampede in, was it in Tel Aviv or Jerusalem?
Oh no, it was
I
in
can't hear you.
Galilee, in Mount Meron. So we bring all those names into our heart as we sing the Mishaber.
To make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mikol bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
A complete healing of body and soul. How wonderful it is for us to be together. For those of you in this room, many of you, this is your first time in quite a long time, and we really appreciate you coming out. We wanted to make this space available. It's been so underused over the last year and a quarter or so, and it's been calling out to us, and we realized that it was about time to come back, even in a little bit, and we see everyone kind of testing out the waters, and that's good. We don't expect us to have full houses in here for a long time still, hopefully by High Holy Days, but even that we don't know. But it's great for us, for Cantor and myself and Paul and Bruce and Joanne and everyone that's been part of this to have other people makes a difference. That's why we're here, and it's so very different without you in the space. So Cantor mentioned during the healing prayer this very horrific thing that occurred in Israel yesterday. I'm not sure if you heard about it. It was actually in the middle of the night in Israel, and it occurred on a mountain called Mount Meron. And I'm going to explain a little bit about it, and it has to do with this very strange holiday that we're celebrating tonight. We actually had it all designed. When Cantor and I went through the whole list, you know about making plans, right? God just laughs at you. So we had it all designed. We're going to be out in the parking lot. We had ice cream we were going to give out. It was going to be festive and a real celebration. And of course, this is Buffalo, and as soon as we looked at it earlier in the week, collectively we said, this is not the right time to be outside. 40-degree weather with rain is probably not the best state. And actually, in my memory of youth of Lag BaOmer, The one thing I remember is we would plan a big event, like for my Jewish day school, and if the weather was great, we would be able to go outside. We would have games all day. There would be no classes, but if it rained, it was classes. And every single year, it rained. I kid you not. I think I remember one year, I just couldn't believe it. I said, how is it possible that we could celebrate Lag BaOmer? Lag BaOmer is a very strange holiday. I'm not sure how familiar you are with it. If you live in Israel, you do know about it. It is part of the Israeli calendar, and they know it because you have these big bonfires. And actually, people will collect wood for weeks, and they'll pile it up, and they'll just have these amazingly big bonfires. And that's usually how it's celebrated. In addition to this very strange custom that I'll go into about visiting this mountain in the Upper Galilee. So it's really kind of just this strange point. Lag means 33, and it is the 33rd day of the Omer. So we have a period from Passover to Shavuot. We count every day. And 33rd is basically 2/3 of the way to our goal, which is Shavuot. And that's basically how you can think about the holiday, is it's not much of a holiday, it's a pause. It's kind of like a comma in a sentence. If Passover is the period and Shavuot is the period, Lag BaOmer is the comma. And it's a holiday with a lot of really strange emotions because it's this period, the Omer, particularly in the Orthodox world, is a very sad time. There's no weddings, there's no celebrations. We were singing Siman Tov and Mazel Tov. The only time that we would sing something like that would be on Lag BaOmer. You wouldn't cut your hair, you wouldn't shave, just as if you had a death in the family. Partly it's to remember this story of Rabbi Akiva's students who died during the Omer period, except for on Lag BaOmer. But there are no doubt many other reasons that we memorialize this period that have just been forgotten over the years. And so we come to it and we actually don't know how to feel. We're pointed to a story in the Talmud, which is one of my favorite stories in the Talmud. There's a lot of really strange stories, but this story is great, and it's the reason why all those people were collected on Mount Meron, and it's really the real essence of the holiday and its confusing nature. So just to give you an idea, Mount Meron is about, 2 hours or so from Jerusalem in the Upper Galilee. In Roman times, there was a rabbi named Shimon Bar Yochai. He was from the Upper Galilee, and he loved Mount Meron. This was a time of real strife for the Jewish community. During this time, our temple was destroyed in the year 70, and we also had the Bar Kokhba revolt. It was a time where we were actively combating Rome. And we, the Judeans, the Jews, were kind of looked like the Taliban back then. They thought of us as this group of extremists. And so they were on the lookout for rabbis. So Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, who was the student of Rabbi Akiva, and he was a very willful person who would do anything to protect Judaism or protect Rabbi Akiva. And he was there with his friends, Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Yehuda. And they're just having a conversation about Rome. We're lucky here in America. We can talk about our government. We can say whatever we want about our government. It's okay. That's permitted. Of course, Jews talking badly about Rome at that time was a real problem. So Rabbi Yehuda, who was a convert, speaks up and he says, I love the Romans. They're so great. Look, you know the Colosseum. It's amazing. They have these wonderful marketplaces that they design that we can go and we can buy wares. They have these wonderful bathhouses. Have you seen the Roman baths? They're amazing. And they also build these amazing bridges. It's fantastic. Has there ever been a group, a civilization like the Romans before? And Rabbi Yossi is smart. He just bites his tongue. But he knows what's coming from Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Shimon just won't stand for this. He said, we can imagine that it doesn't say this in the Talmud itself, but he spits on the ground. Feh! What are you talking about, these Romans? When you're talking about the marketplaces, that's a place of prostitution. When you're talking about the bathhouses, that's just to pamper the Romans, not us. And when you're talking about the bridges, they're only there to collect taxes. So sure enough, word gets right back to Rome. And you know what happens? Suddenly, Shimon Bar Yochai and his son Eleazar are on the run. And they run back to their home in the Upper Galilee. And they find their way to Mount Meron, which is kind of a modest mountain in the Upper Galilee. And it has a little cave in it. So they run inside the cave and they do something this is why I love the story, which is completely strange. They strip completely naked and they bury themselves in sand. And then somehow they take out the Torah and they study Torah during this whole time. God kind of feels bad for them, and so God allows a carob tree to grow, which not only keeps them a shade, but also provides them carrot seed. And they're there not for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, because Rome is after them for a significantly long time. They're there for 13 years. 13 years buried up to their head, up to their neck, in sand, studying Torah day and night, completely isolated from anyone else. And suddenly Elijah appears, Elijah the prophet, who says that, by the way, we should probably tell them that the emperor is dead, and they're safe now. So they come out of the cave, and they look around, and they expect the world to be destroyed, that everything is distraught, that Rome's in charge. It's terrible. We've had a terrible time as the Judeans, the Jews at the time, and they expect everyone to be in mourning. And they find normal life. And they're just aghast. And they're angry. They're filled with anger. How can this be? We gave up 13 years of our life, and you're just acting as if everything is normal? And it gets so angry that they look at the world, and they actually literally burn the world. They have laser eyes. I see Ben in the back. Superman? They shoot lasers through their eyes. It wasn't Superman. That's a modern invention. They actually thought of this 2,000 years ago, believe it or not. So they burn everything until God, a voice from heaven, a bot call, comes and says, you can't go destroying my world. Go back into the cave. So they take off their clothes and they go back into the cave. And they bury themselves, and the carob tree grows back. And after 12 months, they go out again. This time, they're willing to give it a little bit more of a shot. And they see someone carrying 2 branches of myrtle. It's right before Shabbat, I think. Why is this person? They're just going, they're ready to get angry. You can feel their blood boiling. But they ask him, why are you carrying the 2 branches of myrtle? And the person says, I'm getting ready for Shabbat. This one branch is to Zachor Shabbat. This other branch is to Shamor Shabbat. Those are the principle of what Shabbat stands for in the 10 Commandments, to protect and to remember Shabbat. And so this person who was going and doing something that seemed normal was actually a Torah scholar. And from that point on, they go out into the world. Rabbi Eleazar, the son, is still really angry, and lasers are still shooting through his eyes. But luckily, Rabbi Shimon heals everything that he does. So he lasers, healed, lasered, healed. They were superheroes. That's what they thought back then. So this is the story and the reason why everyone was gathered on Mount Meron. They go every year. I actually had a chance to go. It was the strangest Jewish thing I've ever done in my life. I don't think there's any women there. I can't hear mention men. It is literally all men there. There are these buses. They're unmarked buses. Someone told us this. I was 20 years old at the time, and I thought, well, I'm in Israel. I heard about this strange activity. I should find out. So I went to the Orthodox area. I got on these buses. in the middle of the night. Everyone had a black hat. Everyone's chanting. I felt like, oh my gosh, a complete fish out of the water. We travel all the way up, through the winding roads. I'm getting nauseous because I don't like driving through on buses and windy roads. And we make it there to Mount Meron. And it was the strangest thing that I have ever seen. There are people dancing and singing all throughout this mountain. There was 100,000 people there this year because it was the first the pandemic event that they were allowed to go out. And so everyone kind of was making up for lost time. But there were, let's say tens of thousands of people. Tens of thousands. And this was during the time of Menachem Schneerson, right before he died. So everyone was chanting, Mashiach, Mashiach, Mashiach. And it was as if the whole mountain was on fire. It felt really dangerous. But we walk up past all these people with the Rebbe pictures, and we make our way to what they tell us we're supposed to go, which is this little tiny cave. It's like white inside, and there's nothing there. It's the cave that Shimon Bar Yochai was supposed to have been for these 14 years. And we kind of were like, no, I don't know what the big deal is. And we went back, kind of, this was now like 2, 3 in the morning at this point. And we said, okay, we've had enough of it, and we got on the buses back. Buses would come and go all night long. And people make the pilgrimage to come there because they want to commune. In this cave, actually, this is where the Zohar was actually supposed to have been written, this big mystical text as well. And they come because they want to somehow tap into this sense, this fervent energy in this crazy time. For me, it feels so much like the pandemic. We've been isolated for so long. And then you come out in the world, you remember it. I especially remember it back last summer, where, what are those people doing acting like normal life is happening? Don't they know we're in the pandemic? I felt like I was Rabbi Shimon out there. There's so much emotion, so much confused emotion. And that's kind of what led to this terrible tragedy. It was the largest civilian casualty in Israel's history, because you had one person slipped. It's very slippery in that cave. They slipped and just a pile of people on top of each other. And it's a really, really horrific event. But they're there because they want to kind of tap into it. But this energy of Lag BaOmer is dangerous. It's all over the place because it's coming out of the cave. But we're not there yet. We're at the Kama. We're not quite at Shavuot. We're not where we want to be. And it's during those times where we need somehow to mark it, but we don't know how. And that's why it's confusing exactly what this holiday is about. I was reminded right before I moved to Buffalo, we just had Jera over here, who's 13 now, and we were selling our house and moving here. And the best advice someone gave us is, when you're in a stressful time, when you're in just go easy on yourself. Be kind to yourself. Pamper yourself, like the Romans. Pamper yourself. Because, it's a time. You just have to kind of adjust to it. And it's hard. And it's going to be crazy like that. So we mourn with all these, the community. It's a terrible tragedy. Hopefully this won't happen again, and it will just kind of be this strange time. But now you know the essence of Lag BaOmer and why we do all these kind of crazy things. So if someone asks you, I know what Lag BaOmer is. Okay, so I could go on and on about this. All right, so let us turn now. I think that we're actually ready for... Oh, we have a special song that Cantor is preparing. Thank you. Okay, when I don't look at my service menu she gives me.
For us more secular Jews, liberal Jews, we kind of celebrate Lag BaOmer all over the world by going outdoors and enjoying yourselves, building bonfires, playing and singing around the bonfire. And one of the things that could be set up traditionally at a outdoor fire would be a finjan. Anyone ever heard of the word finjan? Well, a finjan it's in Arabic, and it means coffee pot. So the song I'm about to sing, I'll just read the description for you. This song, with its lively lilt and interspersed hand claps, 2 hand claps, and you will feel when it comes in, has become a favorite song in community singing and at campfires. So it's not in your Siddur, so I'm just going to read the translation for you. The cool wind blows, will add a chip to the fire, and thus, in scarlet, it will rise in the flames like a sacrifice. The fire flickers. Song rises up around the finjan. The fire will whisper to the chip. Our faces grow red by the fire. If more fuel is prepared for us from every broken branch, stub in the garden, every tree and log will sing so softly around the finjan. So this is one of those campfire songs that I learned in camp around the fire. And it's kind of like you sway and you clap at the moment, and I will show you when to clap, and I really do hope that you enjoy Hafinjan.
I've sung that song before. I didn't even know what it was about, so thank you, Cantor.
The coffee pot.
Yeah, very
We
cool.
have to think, when we think coffee pot, we're not thinking of Mr. Coffee. We're thinking of a beautiful Turkish, those, what's a good English word for that?
A kumkum.
Kumkum?
I think that's a Hebrew. That's what they call the little coffee makers. Let's rise for Aleinu, page 586. Page 591. You may be seated. We're going to turn now to our memorial prayers. We are remembering Andy Dale, Carlton DeBozen, Sandra Friedverdig, Marvin Garelick, Sylvia Jones, Samuel Corris, Howard Moulter, Ben Bertville Abraham, Frank Petrie, Robert Eugene Powell Jr., Daryl Evan Shepard, all who died in the last month and whose families are still in mourning. On our yard site list from years past, we remember Maurice Baker, Ruth Bauer, Albert Bookbinder, Joseph A. Carr, Belle DeBruin, Susan Feller, Jack Felstein, Donald Fox, Eleanor Frank, David Freed, David Gavin, Gary Gafter, Louis Goldman, Samuel Gottesman, Anna Gross, Geraldine Gross, Charles Kaufman, Keith H. Kaufman, Caitlin Klein, Frank Kranitz, Mary Kranitz, Bessie Lesses, Samuel Levine, Rachel Littenberg, Samuel Middleman, Francis Nyman, Annette Ostroff, Sylvia Perlitz, Henry Pesser, Pearl Pickell, Percy Roth, Rita Bloomberg Roth, Sam Siegel, Philip Shapiro, Jacob Simon, Ethel K. Solander, Marilyn Steinhardt, and Morris Unher. If there's other names you'd like to say? And we mentioned the 45 people as well that died. We'll turn to the mourner's Kaddish. All those who are observing yard site or whose custom it is to rise, page 598. Yitgadal, v'yitkadash, shemei rabbah, v'yalma, divrach, chirete, v'yamlik, malchutei, v'chayachon, v'yamachon, v'chayei, d'chol beit Yisrael, v'gala, v'zman, kariv, v'yimru, amen. Yehei shmei rabbah, v'varach, le'olam, omei, omaya. Yiparak, v'yishtabak, Yitpa'ar, Yitramam, Yitnaseh, Yitadar, Yitaleh, Yitalal, Shemeda Kudusha, Berechu. Leila, Minkol, Birkata, Bashirata, Tushbachata, Venechamata, Damiran, Bialma, Yamaru, Amen. Yehesh Lamaraba Min Shemaya, V'chayim Aleinu, V'yakol Yisrael, V'yamaru, Amen. Oseh Shalom, V'yamramav, Hu Yaseh Shalom, Aleinu, v'yal kol Yisrael, v'yal kol Yoshvei Tevel, v'yimuru. Amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us, to all Israel, and to all the world, and we say Amen. You may be seated. Zikronam levracha. May their memories be for a blessing. I'd like to invite Bruce Corris over to offer the announcements.
This time it really is the announcements. Shabbat Shalom, and welcome back. It is just really nice to see so many people with us this evening. As the Rabbi said, we're taking steps. We're still not going to have a full house, and we realize that. But if it's important to you to be in the building, we're giving you the opportunity, and we hope you'll take advantage of that. Mazel tov to Hannah Nissengard and her family on her upcoming bat mitzvah tomorrow morning. Thank you to Rabbi Alex, Cantor Frank, Paul Staley for tonight's lovely service. And wasn't it great, the clapping? In unison? It was wonderful. Cantor, I bet you enjoyed that.
I did. I love that song.
Yeah. But, by the way, did anyone see the movie, what is it, I think A Night at the Museum, the Ben Stiller? I'm watching the Cantor, and she's sitting perfectly still behind the thing, and then she gets up to sing, and she comes to life. It's just like in the movie, except you're better than they are.
I'm in a diorama right now. Right?
They're funny. They're funnier, but you sing much better than they do. Tomorrow morning, in addition to the bat mitzvah of Hannah Nissengard, we have the Torah study at 9 a.m. And the Hannah Nissengard bat mitzvah and Shabbat morning service is at 10:30. That will be via Boxcast, Facebook, and YouTube. The website will have the links. We have religious school on Sunday. Parents, if you have any questions about that, please contact Inav Simons, our religious school director. Sunday night, Dr. Yunina Foster will be leading Shalom Ruach, that will be at 7 o'clock via Zoom. Join us for song, chant, silence, and sharing. And there's also a very special community program Sunday night at 7 o'clock. Suzanne Rato, From Holocaust to Hope. This is a continuation of Holocaust memorial observances here in Western New York. Congregation Shir Shalom, Temple Beth Zion, and Temple Beth Zedek are joining together to sponsor that. Suzanne was just a baby when she and her family escaped. So she's got a different perspective, obviously, not remembering the Holocaust per se, but knowing that as a very small child, as a baby, her whole life was uprooted. Really an interesting woman, and that will be via Zoom. You can still register for that. That link has been emailed out, and I believe it's also on our website. But the most important thing coming up in the next week is what? Shabbatas, of course. Where Shabbatas will be back on Tuesday. That's from 4 to 7 or until sold out. You can pre-order your dinners. You can save $1, and you can guarantee that you will get a meal, because last time around we sold out very early. Of course, it's drive-through only, masks required. We will be back in here next Friday night for our third Erev Shabbat service in a row, indoors. Reservations are required. Make sure you email Joanne. She'll send you a questionnaire. You'll answer it. You'll send it back. And we thank you, by the way. Everyone tonight was great. Last week's crowd was a little, not so well behaved. You guys are wonderful. So, of course, some of you are the same as last week, too. But anyway, we do appreciate you observing our guidelines and following the social distance rules and the masks and all of that, because we are always thinking of your safety and have been for over a year now. So we do appreciate you following the guidelines with us. When you leave tonight, you'll be going out the back door, same as last week. Leave as you're in your group. Let's make sure we maintain the spacing as you leave. And we have a goodie there for you to pick up on the way out. But I feel like an air traffic controller. You will be leaving that way. Anyway, but we appreciate you observing our guidelines and following the rules, because, again, everything that we are doing is with your safety in mind. If you need anything, and then after next Friday, fingers crossed on the weather, we'll be outside for a Park and Pray, our first of the year. If you need anything, please feel free to reach out to the rabbi, the cantor, Joanne, or myself. We are always here for you. And as always, thank you so much for being part of our Shir Shalom family. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Bruce. We have one other announcement. We have an amazing opportunity to go on a river cruise. This is in August of 2022. And there's going to be a presentation. It's actually Paul Staley's daughter, Liz, who is over at AAA, who's going to be presenting at 7 o'clock on Thursday on Zoom. And I know a couple of you have been interested in going, so take a look. There's a flyer, and we will be promoting it more. But there's a discount if you get in before the end of May. I know it's a long way away. All right, we are ready, and Cantor, I know, has a special song to conclude with. So why don't we turn to that? If you want to, it's also in honor of Lag BaOmer.
Oh, absolutely. Is that trip in April or August?
It's in August of 22.
Wow.
A long time from now.
Yeah, this song, again, we're celebrating Lag BaOmer. Terrible events aside. So here's the song on page 655. It's called Hava Netze B'Machol. Let's go outside and dance. And this also has a nigun in it, Yale Alel, Yale Ali, which you could sing even if you don't have any mastery of Hebrew. You can la 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 with that part. And this is a great hora, one of the most famous and one of the most popular hora songs. Let's see if we can find it. Oh, there it is on the top, on 655.
Hallelujah.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. As you came in peace, may you leave in peace. Shabbat shalom.